Hello, the name is Daman Dev Sood. Welcome to my weekly show, My Top Tips, every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST. My apologies, there was a break last week. To compensate, today may be a little longer discussion, actually because of the topic that I have picked up. Today, I'm going to talk about the GPG, BCI's GPG 2018 and GPG 7.0, which is the current version, which was released in November last year. My detailed blog is available on my website around this. I request you go through that also, please. The topic today is GPG, BCI's GPG 2018, and I'm saying and, I'm not saying versus, and GPG 7.0, which is the current version released in November last year. My overall impression is my discussion or the writing in the blog is not to criticize anyone, but it is not just a new version of GPG, rather the GPG has been rewritten. This is the overall impression. And for that reason, I would say it's a must read for all BC professionals. CBCI refresher is worth for those who can. And CBCI 7 is required. CBCI 7 examination is required. So I'm not saying these are the differences. This is not a comparison between the two versions. These are my views, and have developed these views when I read GPG 7 thoroughly. So some new definitions have been introduced, like the BC champions have been defined. Persons tasked with supporting the BCMS from the perspective of this area of their area of expertise by inputting and maintaining the system and periodically updating documentation. This is what BC champion is supposed to do. Injects, which means we are talking of tests. Injects have been defined. Individual timeline events that are part of an exercise. They may include simulated media, news clips, website articles, social media feeds, telephone calls, emails, and text messages. I wouldn't mind to add more drama if person barges into your command center during your exercise. That's also an inject and a live inject. Priority suppliers have been defined as priority suppliers are those who support prioritized activities and are identified as having the greatest impact if they fail to deliver resources, thereby impacting the organization's ability to deliver its own products or end services. We know the whole GPG, right from beginning or for long at least, has been divided into PPs, 6 PPs. There are first two as management PPs, and the next 4 are technical PPs, professional PPs. So if the name is establishing a BCMS, which is a change, but isn't it misleading? Or the question, is it misleading? A system, BCMS, is business continuity management system, but a system is established after one full circle has gone. So it cannot be in the beginning. I can't have BCMS on day one. PP1 is day one when the journey is starting. Actually, system may be even longer than one complete cycle when we would be able to claim that we have a system. It says the scope of the BCMS is independent of the BC policy, so it may be defined before or after the policy is written. my view is little correction required here. The scope should be written before BC policy, according to me. Because the day I start implementing BCM, I should know what is the scope so that I design, develop, and implement BCM according to the scope. Global organizations may need to issue multiple policies to take account of different cultures in different locations. This here again not understood by me. How could a culture impact the policy, BC policy? What differences could we make? Should we make? We would need to make in BC policy due to cultural differences, not clear to me. Policy needs to be aligned with the context of the organization. Different ways of saying it, with the objectives of the organization. Very easy to say. GPG is how portion, not what portion, which is the standard. ISO 22301, current version is 2019. So I would have expected GPG to give some examples also. How can we align BC policy with the context of the organization? PP1 also says roles, responsibilities, and authorities are to be defined. This is a gap I have found in my audit experience also, having been across companies, countries, and industry sectors. Authority portion is missing. Even if the companies have been certified for years and decades. Even in the GPG 7, mostly the discussion is about roles and responsibilities. This authority portion is missing, and I would have expected some examples being available in GPG because, once again, GPG provides me how to do it. A checklist has been given to ensure completion of this PP. My expectation once again is that such checklist should have been there for all other PPs also, but currently missing. PP2 is called Embracing Business Continuity. To once again, a name change has happened here. It was called Embedding Business Continuity in GPG 2018. I like the concept that has been introduced in GPG 7, head to heart concept. It says only then can BC move from head, a corporate mandate driven by policy, to heart, a cultural mandate driven by personal beliefs and corporate behaviors. I like this very much. There are more discussions around culture of BC in PP2 of GPG 7. The question that I have in mind, how do we measure the culture, the BC culture? There are no discussions around that. This is a sample BC dashboard. Which can help us to claim this BC embracing or embracing BC, which is the title of the PP, PP2, embracing business continuity. If I look at my performance on this dashboard, improving days, weeks, months, years, then I will be able to say we are embracing BC better now in our organization. PP3 is called analysis, and it says objectives, BCM objectives. According to me, objectives should be set on day one. So it should be in PP1. BCM objectives should be set there. Analysis is being conducted to meet those objectives. There were 4 types of BIAs up to GPG 2018. We know that the first one was the initial BIA that has been dropped, and there are only 3 types of BIAs according to GPG 7 now: product and service BIA, process BIA, and activity BIA. This diagram called MTPD RTO diagram has been included in GPG 7, and we will be able to recollect easily immediately. We have seen multiple versions of this diagram in the world. My challenge with respect to this one in GPG 7 is that this diagram is kind of incomplete. It just tells me terms RTO MTPD. It doesn't tell me what is MTPD and what is RTO, or what is the relationship between these two. So I look forward to a great improvement in this diagram. This is incomplete, inconclusive according to me. ISO 22301 implicitly says BIA is to be conducted before RA. We know this debate has been going on in the world for long. BIA first or RA first? Implicitly, because the clause for BIA comes before the clause of RA in ISO 22301. So I'm saying ISO 22301 says or expects BIA to be conducted first. And if you go deep into RA clause, it says that RA is to be conducted for prioritized processes or activities, which means BIA needs to be conducted first, because prioritized processes or activities are the output of BIA. But GPG 7 continues with this ambiguity. It doesn't specify it. Not yet. Not even in this version. If you move to the second portion of analysis stage, PP3, RA analyzes relevant risks to prioritize activities to identify concentrations of risk or single points of failure that may result in disruption. I have a challenge with this statement. Because the name is RA, not RM, which means I need to identify and evaluate and prioritize, and I need to stop there. I do not know single points of failures from RA. When I start M portion, mitigation portion, and I find that there is no way, either not available or I am not able to implement it, or I do not want to implement, then I will call it a single point of failure. Before that, I do not know whether this is a single point of failure. So I have a big challenge with this statement. The name is a risk assessment, which was called a risk and threat assessment in 2018 version. 22301 talks of risks twice. And that was a big misunderstanding or concept not understood for long. There were debates in the world around that also. When we go to PP3 analysis stage, conducting RA there, that is about the prioritized processes. But BCM is a program, and a program will also have risks. And that's why ISO 22301 talks about risks twice. GPG still continues to talk only about the risks to the prioritized processes. It doesn't talk about risks to the program itself. A new concept has been introduced in RA, which is called velocity of risk. Together, these may indicate how fast a risk could affect an organization. And this is said to be an outcome of likelihood and consequence. I again think that this needs correction. The outcome of likelihood and occurrence is a risk value. Outcome of likelihood and consequence is a risk value. If you want to look at the velocity, then we need to introduce a new parameter, which perhaps will be called velocity itself. This is what I was talking earlier also, the confusion. The name is RA, which has only two steps, identify and evaluate, which means I do not need to do M mitigation. Never in the past decade or so, it has been talked about. We need to conduct M also. There's no doubt about it, but it's for some reasons kept in the next stage when we start developing strategy solutions. So output of RA also goes input to the next stage where we look at mitigations. I would have expected some clarification around that, even if a couple of sentences. Moving to PP4, which is now called solutions design. So a new name or name change. But throughout the book, there are inconsistencies. Sometimes it's called solutions. Sometimes it goes back to the old term called strategies or strategies design. So I call these inconsistencies in the book. But PP4 has gone through major changes, almost overhaul. And at this point, I had made my mind when I made that opening statement. The overall impact is that it's not an update. GPG has been rewritten according to me. Quick look at some of those changes. There used to be 5 solutions or strategies in the name of diversification, application, standby, post-incident acquisition, and doing nothing. These have been removed in GPG 7. In GPG 7, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, these discussions are back. Also a new concept, strategy categories over time. This has been introduced. So perhaps taking it from the BIA impact over time from 1 hour to 1 day to 1 week to 1 month, etc. But that has been introduced in the book. And then there's a table showing various options of these categories for failure of people, building, IT, etc. That is very good. That has huge value. I could design my strategies based on that portion of the book, and that's very good help, according to me. Debatable point or point of concern is one option is shown to provide support to suppliers. An immediate question in my mind will be, if I have failed, my organization has gone through a disaster, is going through a crisis, why would I think of supporting suppliers? My strategy, my plan for my suppliers is that I'll have dual. I will avoid single point of failure. So if one supplier fails, I'll go to the second one, or I will continue with the second one. And this case is when there is no disaster in my company, actually, it's a disaster in the supplier's company. And at this time, the book suggests options like take over operations from supplier or purchase the supplier. I have doubts about this. I wouldn't have need, money to buy a supplier when supplier has failed and I'm going to be impacted. My business is getting impacted because of that. PP5 is enabling solutions. Once again, a change in the name. It was called implementation in the earlier version. This refers to PP6, which is validation. PP5, enabling solutions, refers to PP6, which is validation. It says each implementation should include validation, PP6. Without this, it cannot be confirmed to have met the specification. So my submission here is we, the implementers, the readers of the book must understand GPG has not clarified this. We must understand this validation in PP5 is different from the validation in PP6. What I'm doing in PP5, I'm implementing the solutions or strategies that I decided in the previous stage, PP4. Assume one of those is for building, and we say we have a primary building, but we need to build secondary alternate workplace. could be a project of 6 months. Most likely facilities will own that. Facilities take 6 months, $1 million or whatever amount to make an alternate building. Once the building is ready, they will do some tests, validations that it is safe. Look, feel, design, color, paint, light, AC, HVAC. This is validation. This is what facilities will do before they hand over the solution to BCM team. BCM team would have developed a BC plan according to this solution. And if someday there is a disaster due to which primary building is not available, business continuity would be invoked and the team would start using the alternate facility. But a test would be conducted before the disaster. In that test, most likely BCM team will build a specification or a case like this that people move to the alternate location, start using it. But what they do, they don't test the safety color of the facility, alternate facility, but they will test whether the RTO was achieved or not, whether the team was functional within the RTOs from the alternate location. That's PP6 validation. So in this PP5 enabling solutions, communications has been dealt with in great details, good point. Warning plans have been introduced. So this is addition compared to GPG 2018. Process of returning to BAU has been dealt with greater details. I'm happy with that. Keep in mind, BCM is not BAU. So a BC plan will not be able to get us back to the BAU. That has been an additional effort and additional one-time plan. So I'm happy with this additional discussion in the book. Plans for specific situations has been dealt with greater details, like product recall. I have some comments on that also, by the way, and also pandemic, for example. The last PP in the book validation is the PP that confirms the established BCMS meets the objectives set out in the policy and enables the organization to embrace BC through an effective and efficient awareness, exercising, maintenance, and review program. So we are talking of awareness in PP6. According to me, then awareness or training and awareness happens throughout all stages, but then all stages did not or do not talk in GPG7 about awareness. So I'm raising this as a point and as an observation. One outcome of tests is team cohesiveness. So this is addition, this is new. The question that I would have in mind is how to measure team cohesiveness. Virtual testing has been introduced. Good point. Post-incident review has been introduced. So in GPG 2018, we used to have 6 types of reviews. There are 7 types of reviews now. Post-incident review is new. Closing today's discussions with my last words. I acknowledge the great work done by my fellow professionals who have been involved or who were involved in the development and review of GPG7. That the blog has extended to 10 pages, or today's discussions, which is a quick summary of the blog, has been a little long, does not mean to question their capabilities and competencies at all. I'm repeating, these are not comparisons, these are my views. When I read GPG7 thoroughly, I have not done word-to-word comparison of the 3 documents, GPG 2018, GPG7, and ISO 22301-2019. I have not done that. So these are my views repeatedly. If you have any questions about these discussions or about resilience, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to respond. Let's keep learning together. Learning and sharing is forever. I'm a lifelong learner myself. Logging off from my weekly show, my top tips every Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. IST, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday also. Have a great day. Bye bye.